tells you and
I
talks
know.
to you, which is nice, so.
And to me,
It does.
If you're not up to date, it kind
Right.
of walks you through everything.
And that's what
stuff like
concerned
that.
me, if our individuals working here in the city, if we have access to those items within the building, and if so, are they trained or at least given a little bit of explanation, even though I realize I used to teach it, but the idea of using them, it's pretty simple.
It is simple, but when it comes time you gotta use it, you kinda.
That's right.
You kinda revert back to your training if you haven't.
Maybe
you know?
even if a short 30-minute to an hour review, real quick to just show them a few times how to use it, but I was just wondering because
I do have available instructors and people that can do it, so.
Yeah, okay, it just might be something.
And like I said, as far as part of the AFG grant, which you guys approved for us to apply for, we did include getting AEDs for all the city buildings.
And I was just, because of the fire department and our personnel being trained in all that over there, that I would think maybe it would be a good idea to fall under the fire department to make sure that these are operated properly, people are trained on them, and they're in all these buildings, because it's becoming an increased thing that it's saving people's lives.
Oh, it is one of the things, because we have to report all of our CPR runs to the state and the federal government, and that's one of the keys from the statistics is a quick response to get an AED out. Now, when I took over the fire department, we didn't even know, like the court, when I first went over there, we basically had to make sure that's why I kind of go out every 6 months to all these buildings, because, they have one, but you got to maintain it too. You got to make sure the battery's up to date, everything is good. So the ones that we do have in the city, we check regularly every 6 months.
And I realize you're quite busy, I realize that too, but I'm just thinking that may be something that would fall in the fire departments, so you could at least keep track and make sure they update it so we don't get caught flat-footed.
That would be a point. I mean, I can, reach out to the other department heads too, and make sure that, we have, make sure there's a plan for it too.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Chair, can I ask a question? How much one of those would cost?
Yes. I would only be ballparking it, because I don't know exactly. I would say $3,500, something like that.
I'm thinking somewhere in that approximate
Yeah, real
range.
good one.
Yeah, they're a few $1,000s for sure.
I'm thinking that we should have them in all departments. I mean, you go into an elementary building, you got them in every single building and facility in the schools too.
I kind of do that for my inspections too. If a building has, I always check even though it's not part of my inspection, I always check that for them, make sure the X isn't blinking or something like that, or all their pads, because they forget about it. They put it in there, they think they got it, and when you need it, it doesn't work.
Right.
So could you check on with the department heads like you mentioned and just see if, that's something that I think we should have it there too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Chief. Okay, item 6.5 is a motion to approve the printing and mailing of the 2021 local election absentee ballot applications by Printing System, Inc., low bid in the amount not to exceed $2,125. Funds to be allocated from general fund, city clerk's office, election supplies account.
Through the chair, I know that Cindy emailed everyone. I'm not sure if you guys have any questions from her email. It's just our normal routine
Standard
dual
practice,
mailing.
huh?
Yep. Postage has gone up, so you'll see that price did increase. It about doubled. But other than that, it's all the same. Any questions?
We have a lot more absentee ballots.
We have a lot more absentee too. Yeah, that has doubled to it's over 14,000 for permanent absentee list.
Now, those are absentees that put that they want to be sent.
Yeah, so that's our permanent absentee list.
Okay.
When I became deputy, it was at about 3,000. We increased that to 7,000, and then this last year alone doubled that. So, yep, that's it for me.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, guys.
Item 6.6 is a motion to approve Dell Inc., current vendor for the renewal of 250 Microsoft VDA licenses for an amount not to exceed $35,028, and this is funded through the general fund IT contractual services. Mr. Patel. This is just our standard license for all the computers, correct?
Yeah, for the Microsoft operating system. This is a third year. We got the license from Dell for 3 years, but we didn't put it for 3 years, so this is a third renewal.
I have a question. It doesn't pertain to that, but it is IT, okay? Or you can
Yeah,
do
that's
that
fine.
later on?
Yeah.
Okay. You weren't here the one meeting that we had that I had talked about communication and that. And there are a lot of departments that don't have Wi-Fi. One is the police department and the fire department. What they do have, they're paying for their own. And I think there might be some other buildings around in the city that don't have Wi-Fi. I was just curious. I happened to be doing March's Reading Month activity. I was at the police department, and they had to move me 3 different times, and I had to use my hotspot on my own phone because I couldn't get onto the Wi-Fi. I was going to go to the fire department, and they don't have it. They're paying it out of their own pockets or out of their union pockets. So I'm just curious why we don't have Wi-Fi in some of our city buildings.
So you're asking for free Wi-Fi, right?
Well, yeah, so if you're going to a building, as myself, as an employee or anybody, I don't have to go on my own phone and use my own hotspot. I mean, right now, we finally got it in our council, right? We get it in our council room now? You guys get it in yours?
I haven't checked.
So I mean, it does.
Use it.
So again, I'm asking, are you asking for free Wi-Fi or are you asking for Wi-Fi as the city's computer system for city access?
Employee-wise.
Well, employee-wise, yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't an employee of the Taylor Police Department, so I guess it would be like a guest. If I went into the police department and used a guest, is that considered a free Wi-Fi or is that a city Wi-Fi?
No, it's just like any Wi-Fi that you, at home, you plugged in and you put your password or no password and you're getting in and you're not getting charged for it, that's
Right.
a free Wi-Fi.
You're not looking to give free Wi-Fi to everyone in buildings. You're saying
No.
for City of Taylor employees that
Exactly.
are assigned to a building.
Right.
Or that may be a guest in another building like
Right.
you were on. Yeah, so she's
Right.
looking employee only.
To get to the city services, not like going anywhere, social media or anything, or do watch videos and YouTube videos or do the Facebook videos. You're not asking for that, right?
Well, let me tell you what I did was I took my computer with me and I was reading to some kids on my computer. I went to the petting farm, which, thank you to Guido, he got me a hotspot that I could use. I went to the police department. I was gonna go to the fire department, but they didn't have it either. Went to the library. I was able to use their Wi-Fi in the library. Do they have a free Wi-Fi in the library? I mean, I was able to get online through Google to read to my students. That is what I was looking for. So as a guest, I went into the police department. They had to move me 3 different times to get me into a certain area.
So 6 or 7 months ago, you guys approved the Wi-Fi for every city building. It's going through right now the RFP process. We got the equipment for Wi-Fi is delivered about 6 months ago. We are going through RFP on running the wires on the different department. Once we have that done, project finish, every department will have Wi-Fi to access city resources, to get into the city business, no personal. So if you're a city employee, you can log in as city employee, like you can do the work at your city computer. You can do same thing on their Wi-Fi under city login.
So I wouldn't be able to go into the police department, even though I'm an employee, wouldn't be able to go into the police department and do an activity like that and be able to get on Wi-Fi.
You can,
I would be able to.
correct. Under city kind of business, not a personal business.
Well, isn't that kind of like a personal business kind of thing? If I'm reading to schools, it's not,
Correct.
you know what I'm saying?
Correct, so you're not supposed to do that.
I don't know. I'm just confused. I don't understand why somebody can't come into a building, and I'm not talking about everybody that comes into our building gets the free Wi-Fi.
So-
Guest Wi-Fi or whatever, like you do at a hotel. You give me a Wi-Fi pass and I can password and I can get in.
So I go by certain guidelines that the state of Michigan gives me, which is taxpayer money spent into the taxpayer purposes, not personal purposes. So that's one. The second one is safety and security of the city's data, making sure nobody can hack in and create a more issue on us, and not having to settle some lawsuits. So those are the 2 reasons usually we do not provide or we do not recommend those type of Wi-Fi access, just the city employee only. And
So-
the one that got approved under the previous purchase approval. For every city building, we'll have Wi-Fi to do the city business.
So the Wi-Fi you're talking about that you're going to be working on now, can I have Deputy Hopper come up here, please?
Sure.
You stay here, please, because I just wanted him to. So what you're talking about now is the Wi-Fi that you're working on right now, within the last 6 months or whatever, will allow the police department to do what they need to do. Could you kind of share a little bit about what we talked about with the Wi-Fi situation?
Sure, through the chair. Some of the issues we have, we do more things on Zoom now than ever. And so we have a lot of these meetings that we have that would be for maybe the new Axon program that's coming up, or, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take this off. But whether it's the Axon or some of these meetings that we have, we're unable to actually connect to anything, and we have to use the cell or the hotspot from my phone in order to do it. We're not talking about streaming things on Facebook or anything like that. These are work-related issues that we frequently have to use my cell phone for in order to get some sort of internet access.